They say silence is weakness. But that night silence became my weapon. The chandeliers shimmered above a room full of laughter, crystal glasses catching light like tiny explosions. My sister, radiant in her lace gown, stood before 300 guests and smiled the way she always did, like the world existed to adore her. I'd spent months planning that wedding, wiring money, writing checks, smoothing every detail. I thought I'd earned peace. Instead, I earned a punchline. "And a big shout out to my forever single sister," she said, laughing. The room followed. I smiled too because what else could I do? My palms were wet against the napkin in my lap. Laughter rolled over me, sharp and bright, until it felt like glass in my skin. They didn't know the half of it, the cost, the hours, the invisible sacrifices that had built the dream they were standing in. But that night I let them laugh. Because sometimes silence holds power. When we were kids, she was the star, and I was the shadow that kept the house from falling apart. I paid bills before I had a diploma. I worked 2 jobs while she collected crowns and compliments. Nobody clapped for the girl who kept the lights on. Nobody noticed that I was learning something more valuable than approval. How to move unseen, how to build without applause. By the time I was 30, the world still thought of me as the dependable one. But what they didn't know was that I'd built something real. My company, Whitmore Strategies, started in a cramped apartment with borrowed furniture and a stubborn kind of hope. I learned how to turn failing firms into success stories. I built an empire from silence. And when the world wasn't watching, I quietly acquired one of the largest tech companies in the region, Stanton Dynamics. So when my sister got engaged to Graham, one of Stanton's rising executives, I smiled. Life has a strange sense of irony. She wanted the grand wedding, the chandeliers, the imported flowers. And of course she assumed I'd pay for it. The dependable sister. The one with nothing better to do. I didn't argue. I just signed the checks. The night before the wedding, she leaned close, perfume sharp, and said, "Please don't talk about your little business tomorrow. Graham's boss will be there, serious people. Just say you're between jobs." I remember how calm my voice sounded when I said, "If that's what you want." Her smile was effortless. "I just need everything perfect." Perfect. That word always belonged to her. The next evening, her perfection gleamed under chandeliers. The guests sparkled, the air smelled of roses and champagne. Then came the speeches. The maid of honor giggled through a few memories, then turned toward me. And of course, the forever single sister chasing her little dream. The laughter was crueler this time. My throat tightened. Then my sister took the microphone. Her voice sweet as honey but sharp as glass. "Some dreams have expiration dates," she said. The room roared. Even Graham laughed. Every word sliced through me, but I sat still. No tears. No scene. Just silence. Because I knew something they didn't. When Graham's boss, Robert Hale, approached my table later, he smiled politely. "You're Selena Whitmore, right? I've heard you do consulting." I almost said the line she'd fed me. But then I remembered her voice calling me a joke, her laughter echoing in my head. "I work in acquisitions," I said quietly. "My firm owns Stanton Dynamics." He froze, eyes wide. "You're S. Whitmore?" "Yes." For a heartbeat, everything in that crowded room disappeared. Just me, him, and the truth. His expression shifted from surprise to respect. Then he looked at my sister's husband across the room and something cold settled over his features. He didn't ask permission. He just walked to the stage, took the microphone and said, "Excuse me. Before we continue, there's something everyone should know." The room fell silent. All evening we've laughed at Selena Whitmore. But what most of you don't know is that she owns Stanton Dynamics. Yes, the company many of us here work for. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Forks clattered. Laughter died mid-breath. My sister's face went white, her groom's mouth fell open. I stood, smoothed my dress, and walked to the stage. My voice didn't shake. "Yes," I said. "I am S. Whitmore." And I stayed silent because this day was supposed to be hers. But let this be a reminder. Sometimes silence doesn't mean weakness. Sometimes silence hides strength. The room was still. Every eye was on me. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. Afterward, the same people who'd laughed lined up to apologize. Some offered business cards, some stumbled over flattery. I smiled, but my mind was elsewhere. Their respect didn't matter. The truth did. Later my sister found me. Her makeup streaked, her voice trembling. Why didn't you tell me? Because you never listened, I said. You wanted me small. And I let you until tonight. 6 months passed. The fractures remained, but something inside me was whole again. My sister and I sat in therapy, facing years of patterns we'd never questioned. And I don't hate her. Not anymore. She taught me the cost of silence, and the power in breaking ice. So if you ever find yourself laughed at, overlooked, dismissed, remember me. Remember that silence can be sharper than any sword. Because the night they mocked me, my silence burned hotter than their laughter.